All right, welcome to lesson 7.2.2. Today, our goal, our learning target is that we can each solve the systems of equations algebraically using what's called the equal values method. If you remember yesterday, we were looking at how to find that point of intersection given tables and graphs. And if you remember yesterday, we were talking about going to the county fairs, I think it was. So anyways, we're going to bring back those county fairs, and we're going to look at those same exact equations. So here they are, the Morgan County Fair, the Larimer County Fair, and the Weld County Fair. And if you remember correctly, and I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit here, if you remember correctly, the equations for those was the Morgan County Fair was y equals 10x plus 3. So that is just wrong. That is not that. Hold on here. Let's just change these up right now. Whoever set this up did not do this correctly. I know I set it up myself. They were $3 per ride, and they had a starting cost of $10. Wonder if I did these wrong too. Yep, I did. So let's fix them all, because I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm not an idiot, but I set this up wrong. This one was $2 per ride plus 15. And this one, hey, I did Weld County Fair though. They were $5 per ride with a starting cost of $6. All right, now that we have those correctly placed, here's what I want you to look at. And I want you to see if this makes sense. I'm just going to move the Larimer County Fair right over here. And it should make sense that here's the Larimer County Fair. All right, so Morgan is y equals 3x plus 10. Larimer is y equals 2x plus 15. Well, now here's what you got to think about. Would you not agree that y is the same as y? I mean, they're the same thing. So if 1y equals this and 1y equals that, then doesn't it make sense that these two equations right here must be the same? All right, so I got to just do some with my order real quick here. Bring to the front. Bring to the front. And I better do the same thing here. Unlock this one. Bring that to the front. All right. If we know that these two are the same, so we know that y equals y, so we know that this one here has got to equal this here. And let me just put an equal sign between those two. That's a really wimpy equal sign. But, oh well. I wonder if I can make that a better equal sign so you can see it more clearly. There we go. All right, at least you can see it a little clearer. That should make sense to you now. Now that we have the equation set up like this, and I'm going to move this y back over here for Larimer. Now that I have the equation set up for this, we're going to solve this. Now, I want you to watch the steps involved in solving this. So step number 1, and these should all be in your notes, you guys, because this is a very complicated problem. You're going to notice the very first step I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. When I subtract the 2x from both sides, I end up with only 1x over here plus 10. And that'll equal the 2x's on this side cancel, so I'm left with a 15 on the other side. And I don't know, I always like to line up my equal signs. I also don't like how small this is, so let's make that a little bigger so you can see it a little clearer. Reline up my equal signs. There we go. All right. So I subtract 2x from both sides, so I'm left with 1x plus 10 on this side, and I'm left with only a 15 on this side. Which brings me now to step 2. I want to get x by itself, so right now I'm adding 10 to x. I'm going to do the inverse of that, or subtract 10. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to both. Line up my equal sign. So I'm left with x on this side equals 5 on this side. There we go. So x equals 5. However, I'm not done. I'm just going to put that color in a different color so you can clearly see where that answer came from. I'm not done yet. So now that I have x equals 5, I take the very first equation here, this equation here of Morgan, and I'm going to plug in for that. So I go y equals 3 times my newfound x, which is 5, plus 10. So y equals 15 plus 10, or y equals 25. But I'm going to check this by plugging into the second equation. Remember, the second equation was right there. Which is y equals 2 times x, but I'm going to plug in my x value, plus 15. So y equals 10 plus 15, or y equals 25. So you'll notice that my answer for these two, if I put this in coordinate pair, and I'm going to make this really big and bold, and I'm going to make that a 28 count, is right there. My x value for this is 5, which I found from here, and my y value is 25. We're going to do two more quick examples of this. All right, so if you didn't understand that, rewatch that portion. But the next question then was, when I put weld in there, is where did the Weld County Fair, when did that equal the Morgan County Fair? So let's do that. When did this county fair do that county fair? Well, the very first step now, step number 1, is, which is the smaller x? The 3x's. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. What I'm left with on this side is a 10, and 5x minus 3x is 2x plus 6. Step number 2. Now I've got 6 being added to the 2x. Notice I look at what side is my x on. My x on this case is on the right side. So I want to get the x by itself. So right now I've got 6 being added to that, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I will subtract 6 from both sides. When I do that, I've got 4 left over on this side, and I've got 2x left over on this side. Well, I'm not quite done. There's a third step on this one that wasn't on the other one. Remember, the other one just had a 1x, and so I was done at this point. This time I have 2 x's. So I need to divide by 2 on both sides. When I do that, and let's make this one come out much bigger, and a nice pretty color, and bold. In this case, 2 equals x. Because 2x divided by 2, the 2's cancel, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. But as you should know, I'm not done. I need to plug into the Morgan County Fair. So the Morgan County Fair was 3x, and x in this case is 2, plus 10. Let's see, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 10 is 16. So in this case, y equals 16. In fact, if I did this right, I probably should have a y in there for each of these. Okay, so that's the first one. Then I also must plug into the second one. Y equals 5x, or 5 times 2, plus 6. Y equals 10 plus 6. And y equals 16. Since it came out both ways, I know that my coordinate points are 2 and 16. And again, I'll make that nice and bold for you. hopefully that makes sense. You'll notice that I took Weld County Fair, I plugged in right there. I took the Morgan County Fair, and I plugged in right there. Only instead of the X right here, I put in the number 2, which I get from right over here. So the 2 plugs in for X. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 10 is 16. And I showed that work right here. 5X, 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. And I showed that work right here. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So here's what I want you to do. We've got one more left to do. We've got Larimer and Weld, and we have to find out where the 2 of these crossed. So pause the video and you do it yourself. Do it and see if you can find both the X and the Y. It's very important you can do this on your own. Please pause now. All right, you've already done this now, so I'm not going to show each step by step. I'm just going to see little bullet points. If you subtracted 2x from both sides, you should have got 15 equals 3x plus 6. Just going to space that one over a little bit better. Then you should have subtracted 6 from both sides. If you did that, you should have the answer of 9 equals 3x. If you divided by 3 correctly, then 3 equals x. When we plug that into both of our equations, 2 times 3 plus 15 is 6 plus 15, or 21, and we got to check that in the other one. 5 times 3 plus 6 equals 15 plus 6, which is 21. Hey, for both of them, y equals 21. So our coordinate points would be 3, 21, or our point of intersection would be 321. And if you remember correctly, you guys, this is exactly where it came out on the graph yesterday. So we'll put that in some nice bold letters there. Boom. There you go. That is what your answer should have been. Hopefully you were able to all do that. And hopefully you have good notes on that, because this is a tool you're going to need quite often in class. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.